All right, folks, I'm going to tape a few lessons for you while I'm out. And this is the first of probably about 4 or 5 lessons that you'll have to watch. And you'll take notes during that time. You folks did this homework last night. And so you're going to check your answers on Schoology. That will be posted. And then you're going to receive a note sheet that looks like this. So make sure you have this in front of you before you start watching. And you're going to take some notes and learn a new topic and do some practice in class. Okay. Make sure you keep up with the work. And you can always message me on Schoology if you have any questions that come up. Okay. But help each other. And you could also get help if you're in my period 1 class, then you can get help from Miss Marshall, and if you're in my period 6 class, you can get help from Miss Quintel. Okay. All right. So we're going to learn about direct variation. Direct variation is a special type of equation that relates x and y with just one number, and that number is k. So all it takes to find y is to know what you need to multiply k by. And k is going to be called the constant of variation. Okay, so if this is the case between x and y, we say that y varies directly as x, right? Which makes sense. There's a direct connection between x and y here, just one operation. Okay, so here's an example of a direct variation equation. Y equals 1/2 x would be an example. And so we could plug in some points and we can make a graph. Okay, if x is 0, y is 0, obviously. And if x is 2, half of 2 is 1. So we only need 2 points to graph our line. And so we've got a line here passing through this point right here. Does anyone know what that point is called? You're absolutely right. It's called the origin. So we mark it with an O. The son's laughing at me, yeah. So we've got these 2 points, right? So if I wanted to find the slope of this line, I could do that, right? We could start here at the origin and go up 1 and right 2, right? We know that slope is rise over run. So the slope is 1/2, okay? Now I know what you're probably thinking. That 1/2 sounds familiar because, yeah, it's right there. It's the coefficient of x, okay? So the slope is the same as the constant of variation. Okay, so that's a very important connection between the two. Okay. We could have found the slope here by using our slope formula, right? If you want to check that out, right? The slope is equal to, we could subtract the y's, 1 minus 0 over 2 minus 0. And of course we get the same answer, okay? So this just confirms that the k in the direct variation equation is the same as the slope. All right, so big deal. How is that going to help us out? Let's take a look at example 2. All right, these are problems that you already have there for you, so you're going to be able to just watch me and follow along and not worry about writing things down just yet. I'm going to get a better eraser here. Oh, and can I have a paper towel? Paper towel's probably better. Oh, that works fabulously. Okay, thank you. Okay, so how are we going to be able to solve some problems based on this knowledge of the direct variation? Okay, in example 2, they tell us that y varies directly as x. They have to tell us that, because once they say that, we can immediately write down y equals kx, okay? Now they're gonna give us information about x and y. Okay, so here they say in example 2, suppose y varies directly as x, and we know that y equals 30 when x equals 5, okay? And it says in part A, write an equation that relates x and y. Okay, so if we want to write an equation, we know it varies directly, y varies directly as x, so we can take what they give us, right? We know that 30 is the y equals some number k times x, which is 5. Okay. So, we can certainly solve there for k, right? We can take 5 and divide by 5 on both sides so that we get k by itself. So now we have, 30 divided by 5 is, very good, 6. So we've got k equals 6. And now we need to go back and say, what do they want again? Write a direct variation equation. So we take the k, and we just substitute it back in. So the equation is y equals 6x. Okay, so what that does for me is now that gives me the ability to figure out an x or a y if I know the other one. So in part B, it says use the direct variation equation to find x when y equals 18. Okay, so, all right, can they see this one? Can you see this on the screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, so find x when y equals 18. So we know y equals 18, so you can plug in 18 equals 6x, and then we can just solve that equation by dividing both sides by 6, right? So x is equal to, very good, 3. X is 3. Okay. All right, so in these problems, we're going to be asked to find equations of direct variation and then to use that equation to find other unknowns. Okay, so let's take a look at the back side of this note sheet, okay? The first 3 problems are asking us to find the constant of variation, okay? So what's the constant of variation again? K. Works much better. Okay. All right, so, for example, in number 1, right, they give us the line. And isn't that nice of them? They're giving us a line and they're telling us the equation of that line, y equals negative 2x. So they don't want us to work too hard. All right? They want the constant of variation, so we're going to call that k. K equals, we can see it right there, negative 2. And then they also want the slope. So the slope of that line, okay, if we go from 0, 0 to the point negative 1, 2, 1, 2, right, if we go up 2 and left 1, that's negative. So the slope is 2 over negative 1. Okay, that shouldn't be a big surprise because we saw in the previous problem, in the opening problem, that the slope is the same as the constant of variation. Okay, so those few problems aren't too challenging. So in number 2, if you look at that equation in number 2, right, on your sheet, y equals 3x. The constant of variation is 3. The slope is 3. In number 3, y equals 3/2 x. The constant of variation is 3/2. The slope is 3/2. Okay, so these are not terribly challenging to open up here. Now, when you're asked to find a missing value on 4, 5, and 6, this is where you're going to have to do a little bit more work. Okay. Oh, look, my dog is here. Wanna say hi, Moji?
Wait, let me push it down to Mojo level.
Mojo, say hi to the kids at school. Come here, say hi to the kids at school. He likes paper towels.
Terrible tripod.
He likes paper towels. Say hi. Whoa, whoa, come here, come here. Dream doggy, close up. Okay. All right, so back to the lesson, guys. All right, so in 4, 5, and 6, they tell you that y varies directly as x. Oops, does he have the cap to my marker?
He does.
Oh, okay, that cap is slimy, with dog slime, but that's okay, we love him anyway. Y varies directly as x. Okay. It says write a direct variation equation that relates x to y and then solve. Okay, so notice what they're giving me. They're giving me, oh look at my student here, my little puppy wants to
Stop
learn.
stopping the video to talk about your dog.
I know, right? He wants to learn. See that, kids? Dogs like algebra too. Okay, all right. I'm gonna be focused now. Suppose y varies directly as x. Write the equation that relates x to y, then solve, okay? So, it says if y equals 4, when x equals 2, find y when x equals 16, okay? So the first thing we have to do is find an equation. Okay. Now, some of you might have some intuition as to what y is, right? Which is great. All right. Does anyone already know what y is without even finding the equation? Good for you. All right. So it says find the equation first. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to write y equals kx. All right. I can write this because they say y varies directly as x. Then I'm going to substitute in what I know. Okay. I'm given the 0.24. So I'm going to plug it in. Right? So I'm going to plug in xy, 4 equals k times x. So now I can solve that equation, divide by 2. So k equals 2. Okay? This gives me the direct variation equation that relates x to y. Y equals 2x is the direct variation equation. So that was the first half of what they wanted me to do. And now it says then solve, right? So in number 4, it says find y when x is equals 16. So now I'm going to find y, right? What's y when x equals 16? Okay. So what I need to do now is use my equation. I know y equals 2x, so I can plug in 16 to get y equals 32. Okay, all right. So what I'd like you to do right now, okay, is to put me on pause and try 5 and 6 right now. And then I'll come back and, or you'll come back and you will see if you get the right answer for 5 and 6. All right, so folks, I hope you tried examples 5 and 6 on the note sheet. All right, I want these notes to be complete so you can use them as a reference. When you did number 5, you had y equals kx because it says y varies directly as x. You substitute in x is -3, y is 9, and you solve to get k equals -3. So you have that equation, right? So that's part of the problem. It says write a direct variation equation. So you have the equation, and now you can use the equation to find missing values. In this case, it said find x when y is 6. So plug in y is 6 and solve here for x to get -2. So your answers are really the direct variation equation and x equals -2. So they asked you to find these two things. Okay? Number 6 is the same kind of problem, just with decimals. You're still going to do things the same way. You've got an x and y, it's a direct variation. Start with y equals kx. Find k. Write the equation. So again, this is one part of the answer. Make sure you have that in there. And once you have the equation, you can solve for missing x or y. In this case, find x when y is -24. So plug in -24, solve the equation by dividing by 3 to get x equals -8. Okay? So these equations aren't so bad. This section's not too bad. This is the third section we've done. The second section we've done in chapter 3. We're skipping 3 too. You folks are going to do now, once your notes are complete, right? You're going to do this right now. It's not too bad, okay? It is a skills practice sheet. It says 3-4 skills practice. Make sure you have this. Make sure you were given the sheet, right? And you're going to do this sheet. Try the 13 and 14, right? But you should be able to do the 1 through 12. No problem. Okay? Help each other. If you need some help, help each other. And you'll be able to check your answers on Schoology. Okay? Make sure you show your work. You're going to be passing that in tomorrow. Okay? And remember, I'm going to see all your work. So, guys, keep working hard. I'm going to do my part here to give you the skills that you need to be successful. All right, folks? See you soon. Bye.